Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to BBC Television's Sports Review of the Year. Your hosts this evening are Steve Ryder, Sue Barker and Desmond Lynam.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Another sporting year has rushed by and we're all set to celebrate it. Helping us do that, a host of stars from the world of sport. At the end of the programme, another name will be added to this famous trophy as Sports Personality of the Year. If you voted, thanks. It's been counted. And tonight we welcome some very special guests. First, a lady who took on the best swimmers in the world at the Olympics and walked away with 3 gold medals and a bronze for good measure. Ireland's Michelle Smith. The world champion, the Olympic champion, the world record holder at 100 metres on the track, Donovan Bailey. Next, the world and Olympic champion at 200 and 400 metres, the man who destroyed the 200 metres world record in Atlanta, Michael Johnson. And the man who created one of the greatest upsets ever in world sport. He beat Mike Tyson to become the 3-time heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Holyfield. And we'll be meeting them all later on.
As well as the Sports Personality Award at the end of the programme, we'll, as usual, honour the Overseas Sports Personality of the Year, and there's a few clues for you. We'll also make a special award to someone who's been close to the hearts of the British sporting public for many years.
And traditionally, a further award will be made that honours the outstanding team achievement of this past year. A year in which English football hosted the biggest team competition this country has seen since the World Cup 30 years ago. Euro 96 starts our celebration tonight.
It's coming home, it's coming home, it's coming, football's coming home, it's coming home, it's coming home, it's coming, football's coming home, it's coming home, it's coming home, it's coming, football's coming home, it's coming home, it's coming home, it's coming, football's coming home. Everyone seems to know the score. They've seen it all before. They just know, they're so sure that England's gonna throw it away, gonna blow it away. But I know they can play, 'cause I remember 3 lines on the shirt, Jules Rimet still gleaming, 30 years of hurt, never stop me dreaming.
So many jokes, so many sneers, but all those also nears weigh you down through the years.
But I still see that tackle by Moore, and when Lineker scored, Bobby belting the ball,
And they'll be dancing
3 lines on the shirt, Jules Rimet still gleaming, 30 years of hurt, never stop me dreaming. I know that was then, but it could be again. It's coming home, it's coming, football's coming home. It's coming home, it's coming home, it's coming, football's coming home. It's coming home, it's coming home, it's coming, football's coming home. It's coming home, it's coming home, it's coming, football's coming home. It's coming home, it's on the shelf. It's coming, children and schoolmates coming home. Last years of hurt. It's coming, never stopping dreaming. It's coming home, it's on the shelf. It's coming, children and schoolmates coming home. Last years of hurt. It's coming, never stopping dreaming. It's coming, it's on the shelf. It's coming, children and schoolmates.
Frank Skinner, David DeDeal, the Lightning Seeds and the boys and girls. Thank you very much indeed. Well, here's Alan Shearer. Do you find yourself humming that in the bath from time to time 6 months later?
Believe it or not, I do, yeah.
You used to play on the coach, didn't you, on the way to the games, I hear?
We had a great atmosphere, the atmosphere on the games, the music there, everyone was singing it, and something I'll never forget.
Yeah, I hear a mistake was made. You left the tape off the coach for the Germany match. Is that right?
Yeah, we reminded him afterwards as well, yeah.
You had a fantastic tournament. Many congratulations. All those goals. What was the best moment of the tournament for you?
I think it would be very difficult to pick a best moment out, possibly with me going 13 or 14 games without scoring. I would have to say the first goal in the first game.
Against Switzerland?
Yeah.
Yeah, and after that it got better and better. Terry, now, do you look back 6 months on with some sort of regret or satisfaction?
Well, mixed emotions, really. It just seems so long ago now. But just the power of emotions, I think. And that it was just, that's what really impressed upon me. Obviously, the football we played was really pleasing, but what it did to everybody, it was just beyond our wildest dreams.
And the result against Holland was absolutely phenomenal.
That was precious, yeah.
That was, yeah. I'm sure it was precious. Well, now it's Australia. Australia, yeah. And of course, you've got the big one coming up against Tahiti.
You coming?
And I suppose you'll have to get out.
You jealous swine.
Correct. You'll have to get out there a few times and check them over.
Exactly.
Of course.
I'm not ready to go yet. It's not quite cold enough. 3 or 4 degrees down and I'm off.
Alan, Terry, thank you very much. Very well done. You're fantastic.
Now, we had 2 trips scheduled to Georgia, USA this year, one to the Summer Olympics, the other 100 miles up the road to the Augusta National. And rarely has golf, or indeed world sport, seen action as agonising and compelling as that April Sunday afternoon at the US Masters. For 3 days, Greg Norman was the male lead in his own romantic epic, laying the ghosts of the Augusta National, settling his debt with the US Masters. But one more nightmare remained. 6 shots back, Nick Faldo should have been a mere passenger on Norman's final day lap of honour. But the only thing Norman hit effectively was self-destruct, while Faldo was at his competitive best. By the 9th, the lead had been halved, with Faldo accurate and efficient, Norman looking beaten and besieged. 3 holes later, the lead was gone. And at Amen Corner, where the cheers normally echo, the silence of sympathy was equally deafening.
I fancy a tremor runs through the little pond.
Norman's misery was to reach historic proportions, from 6 ahead to 5 behind, the most painful final day in the history of the majors.
Oh, and that is curtains.
Norman's misery, but Faldo's brilliance, the most emphatic of his 3 wins at Augusta, and to his credit, his #1 thought was for Norman.
My heart goes out for him because, you know, he's a great guy, and I was trying to enjoy it, but I do feel sorry for Greg.
Tom Lehman just missed out to Steve Jones in the US Open, but the American would finally arrive as a major winner at Royal Lytham, where Ballesteros had won the 2 previous Open championships, but for Seve they were distant days and far distant form. After 2 days, Ballesteros had missed the cut, while Ireland's Paul McGinley had missed very little. McGinley shared the lead at the halfway stage, but as the weekend took shape, the Masters champion challenged, while Tom Lehman charged into another of those 6-shot leads that look so fragile, with Faldo in pursuit. But this time, the final day supporting cast kept its distance, while despite the occasional ad-lib, Tom Lehman followed the script. The first US professional to win the Open Championship at Royal Lytham. He still hasn't won a major, but Colin Montgomery is still the best in Europe, European #1 for the 4th successive year. And he even won a playoff for the $1 Million Challenge in South Africa. The Killarney Golf and Fishing Club, where on Curtis Cup weekend, you forget the fishing. The women amateurs of Great Britain and Ireland defending their title against the Americans. Scotland's Alison Rose won twice on the first day. Janice Moody was an important winner on day 2 as the home team led 8-4 into the final day singles. And that's where Alison Rose took her 4th win out of 4 and guaranteed that the Curtis Cup stayed this side of the Atlantic. It keeps its place alongside the Walker Cup and the Ryder Cup, but the Solheim Cup, that remains elusive. A false dawn at Saint-Pierre-Chepstow, where the European professionals were strong, but the Americans were stronger. The final fist in the air would come from Brandy Burton, chipping in at the 16th. USA had come from behind on the final day to retain the Solheim Cup. But Britain still has the best woman golfer in the world. She won 2 more majors, she topped the money list in Europe, and nearly did the same in America. Laura Davis, world #1 by a long way. And from her latest tournament venue in California, she sent us this message.
Well, good evening, everybody. Sorry I'm not with you there in sunny England, but some of us have got to be out here in Palm Springs, bringing to end, obviously, what's been a great year for me. And I've obviously thoroughly enjoyed it. Women's games coming on in leaps and bounds now, and hopefully you'll see a lot more of us next year on the TV. I hope everyone in London's enjoying the evening. Like I say, sorry I can't be there. I'd like to congratulate all the winners tonight and congratulate all the British athletes on great performances throughout the year. So it's a happy Christmas from me out here in Palm Springs.
None better than Laura Davis. And in amateur terms, our Curtis Cup golfers, they remain triumphant, and they're with us as well tonight. And also standing by for us on satellite from Florida, where the weather also isn't too bad, Nick Faldo, welcome. We talked, Nick, minutes after you received that 3rd green jacket in the butler cabin. The talk then was mostly of what had happened to Greg. Let's talk about that final round of 67 from yourself, though. One of your best in major competition?
Well, I think, I think one of the things I'm enjoying now is everywhere I go around the world, people are acknowledging that, you know, that may be one of the great rounds that was played in the major. So I'm obviously very proud of that. It's obviously, you know, I'm delighted the way I played on that day. That's what you practice so hard for, and I was able to produce that golf as the, as the screws got tighter and tighter out there.
And played in difficult, strange circumstances. Describe the atmosphere just a little. Silence, sympathy for Greg Norman. How conscious were you of all that?
Well, obviously I'm taking care of myself and trying to do my own thing as much as possible. And obviously I know what's happening with the scoreboard. I know what's happening with Greg. And it was very evident that the crowd, you know, were just normally responsive. They weren't cheering and shouting like if you hit a good shot. You know, they normally go, you know, pretty wild, but for that occasion, it was just, they just sat and watched, which was quite a amazing sort of eerie sort of feeling for a golf tournament.
Now, this was the first US Masters you were able to clinch on the 18th green, and you clinched it very comfortably indeed. Problem you had, what do you say to the fella as you shake his hand?
Well, as I said, I said I didn't know what to say, and I said, like, I think you need a hug, you know, and that was really it. And obviously I said a few other things which are still private, and but yeah, I genuinely felt for the guy. I mean, I certainly wouldn't like to do that to myself. So, but it's all part of competitive sport.
And you won that title 20 years to the day after turning professional. Not been a bad 20 years, has it?
No, it's been a great 20 years. I mean, any time you're your own boss. That was my goal. When I left school, I wanted to be my own boss and an outdoor job. So I think I picked a good one.
We wish you the same success over the next 20 years. A good 97 Ryder Cup year, Nick. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I think that's going to be a, you know, a major event, obviously, for next year. I think I'm looking forward to that. Well, obviously, if yeah, my intentions are to be playing great, and I'll make the team by hook or by crook.
Wish you the best for that. Nick Faldo, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Well, this time last year, Pete Sampras and Steffi Graf were top of the world rankings. No change there. We were celebrating two British men inside the top 100. No one could have anticipated the 12 months which lay ahead. At last, British tennis has a player to be proud of. Tim Henman entered 96 just inside the world's top 100. From there, the only way was up. However, back in January at the Australian Open, it was the turn of the old guard to shine. Boris Becker captured Grand Slam title number 6, his first in 5 years. And for Monica Seles, her first major triumph since returning. Springtime in Paris, and at the French Open, back in step after injury, Steffi Graf. And in keeping with tradition, along with her main rival, Arantxa Sanchez Vicario, produced a thrilling final with some breathtaking tennis. It was French title number 5 for the world number 1. An emotional Pete Sampras, mourning the recent death of his coach Tim Gullickson, found the priority was not tennis. He went out in the semis to the Russian Yevgeny Kafelnikov, who went on to celebrate his first Grand Slam success. Then, in the heat of the summer...
Ladies and gentlemen, players suspended.
That's when the rain comes down.
It was a wet, wide-open Wimbledon with many of the star names waving an early goodbye.
That's when the rain comes falling down.
Including a sad farewell to Mr. Nice Guy, Stefan Edberg.
Congratulations and celebrations when I tell everyone.
From Sir Cliff to a first-round cliffhanger, which had the centre court crowd in full voice once again, as Henman faced Kafelnikov.
Three fantastic shots.
The British number 1 was on the brink of victory, having taken the first 2 sets, but the number 5 seed fought back, and in the 5th set had match point. Moments later, the roles were reversed. Henman's chance for glory.
He done it! What a match!
He became the first British man to reach the quarterfinals in 23 years, but there he was outgunned by Todd Martin. Pete Sampras was hoping to leap further into the record books, but he faltered in the last 8, beaten by the Dutch powerhouse Richard Krajicek. So, after a tournament of upsets, a surprising final. Krychek against the American Mal Washington. Only one would continue their winning streak. That was Krychek. He coped better with the pressure of a first Wimbledon final. His hard-hitting game proved too strong as he carried off the game's most prestigious prize. There was a more familiar ladies' final, Sanchez-Vicario against Graf, and it wasn't just the press asking the taxing questions. Well, Graf certainly cashed in. It wasn't quite the classic of '95. The result was the same, though. Steffi supreme once again. A magnificent 7 Wimbledon titles. Henman moved further up after reaching the 4th round at Flushing Meadow. There, it was a 4th US Open title for Sampras and Graf's 3rd Grand Slam title of the year. Pressure of a different kind for Tim, as first he competed in Britain's Davis Cup victory, the last event to be played on the much-loved #1 court. Then on to the national championships, where the rivalry at the top of British tennis resumed. An improved Greg Rosetsky was back in the world's top 50. The top honours, though, went to Henman. Final stop, the Grand Slam Cup. There, Tim beat Michael Stick and then the Wimbledon finalist Mal Washington before bowing out to the master, Boris Becker, earning over £250,000. What a week, what a year, what next? What next indeed, Tim? We'll talk about that in just a moment, but first, over £250,000 in a week. Can you lend me a fiver for a start?
I expect so, yeah. If you get the chance, I recommend it. It's a good week.
Never earned that in my day, I can tell you. But what are you going to do with this money? Come on, you must be tempted to spend some of it.
I think there's definitely a few people that are expecting some bigger Christmas presents, so I'm under
You're
a little
looking
bit of pressure.
one. But let's look back to the year. I mean, Wimbledon, that first round match against Kafelnikov really was the big break, wasn't it?
I think that's definitely when my year sort of turned around. There was so many emotional swings in the match. I think I could have won maybe in 3 sets, in 4 sets, and then to be down in the 5th and eventually turn it around and win the match, then it was obviously a special moment for me.
It certainly was a special moment for the press. They invaded your street, all your practice sessions. It really changed your life. How are you handling that?
It's something I think you have to get used to, and so far it doesn't seem to be a problem, but you know, I hope it remains like that.
OK, well, let's look ahead to next year. Not that I want to put any pressure on you, but this time last year there were better odds finding Elvis alive than a British man winning Wimbledon. I mean,
what can I say?
But let's look at the year. I mean, it's a year of consolidation in a way, isn't it?
It is. I think next year people's expectations will be, you know, probably higher, and you know, hopefully I'll be able to live up to that. But having said that, if I can concentrate on my own game and just try and continue to improve, then hopefully you know, it'll be the start of bigger and better things. And
the immediate plans heading down to sunny Australia?
A quick Christmas at home, and then we leave on the 27th of this month, so looking for some sun as well.
I bet you are. Well, good luck down there. Well done this year.
Thank you
Tim
very much.
Henman, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
If the future of British tennis now looks more promising, the health of English cricket continues to give cause for concern. The summer visits of India and Pakistan tested England to the full, but the World Cup winter that had gone before offered little in terms of celebration or optimism.
There was much for Mike Atherton to ponder as England began the year by losing the Test series 1-0 in South Africa. Manager Ray Illingworth tried to raise spirits in the camp after a 6-1 drubbing in the one-day series. But his public skirmish with Devon Malcolm didn't help matters. The headline writers were certainly kept busy. England were one of a record 12 nations who gathered for the World Cup on the Asian subcontinent. But the story got no better for England. Their only wins came against Holland and the United Arab Emirates. Sri Lanka put them out of their misery in the quarter-finals.
And that is the 236 that Sri Lanka was seeking. And what a comprehensive victory.
We are bad, we've played bad, and we're out of the competition.
It was an uncomfortable journey home for Atherton and England. The shock of this, or any other World Cup, came when Kenya beat the once mighty West Indies, who were dismissed for a mere 93. Sri Lanka reached the final when the volatile Calcutta crowd brought an early end to their semi. A 7-wicket win in the final over favourites Australia completed a hugely deserved victory for Sri Lanka and their talented batsmen, brilliantly led by Arjuna Ranatunga. Back home, and it was all change for England's selectors and a new coach in David Lloyd. India provided the first challenge of the summer. England's dressing room demanded a return to winning ways, and with help from a resurgent Chris Lewis, the Texaco Trophy was secured. In the opening test at Edgbaston, Nasser Hussain scored his first Test century. Dominic Cork then took over to give England an 8-wicket victory. As one bird looked on, another bowed out. Lords saw Dickie Bird's farewell to Test cricket.
I'll miss the buzz, I'll miss the atmosphere of Test match cricket, because to me, you can have the Olympic Games, you can have Wimbledon, you can have the World Cup at football and cricket, but Test match day at Lords, there's nothing in the sporting calendar to compete with that, mate.
But one star which might be rising is that of Indian batsman Sourav Ganguly, who scored 200s in his first 2 tests. There were hundreds for Sachin Tendulkar and Mike Atherton as the 3rd test was drawn, so giving the series to England. Another Hussain 100 meant he won the Man of the Series award, but a broken finger put him out of the 1st test against Pakistan. There was, however, an increased mood of optimism, but Ray Illingworth couldn't lose sight of the fact that Pakistan would provide much sterner opposition. Lords played host to the 1st test, and Inzamam ul Haq set Pakistan on their way to victory with a stylish century. The wiles of leg spinner Mushtaq Ahmed then sparked that all too familiar occurrence. And England collapse. The sheer pace of Waqar Younis finished things off. There was better English news at Headingley with 170 for Alex Stewart and a 1st test ton for Nick Knight. But in a match dominated by the bat, any chance of victory was to elude England. The 3rd test at the Oval saw John Crawley become another English centurion. But again, it was Mushtaq who took control. The match and the series were won, and it all ended on a very fitting note.
That's it. 300 Test wickets for Wasim Akram.
2 successive Nick Knight 100s meant England did at least win the Texaco Trophy. On the domestic front, Lancashire made Lords their 2nd home, beating Northants in the B&H final. And in the NatWest final, Glen Chappell's 6 for 18 saw Essex bowled out for a record low, just 57 all out. Surrey sneaked home in the Sunday League. It was their first trophy since 1982. They were also in contention in one of the closest championship races for years. But, inspired by Phil Simmons, Leicestershire, led by James Whittaker, took the title for only the 2nd time in their history. (1996), well, it's been a difficult year for Mike Atherton. No doubt he'll be hoping for better fortune on England's current tour of Zimbabwe.
Well, it's not started too well, that's for sure. They lost the first one-day international today in Bulawayo. They're missing you, Dickie, that's for sure. What advice can you provide?
Well, I think we'll win the Test series, but it's a bad start, and I don't think we've got the ballers around in England today. If to win Test matches, you've got to blast sides out twice. It's as simple as that. And I think we've got to make ourselves mentally strong like the Australians. They play it the right way. Whatever walk of life you're in, Steve, whatever game you're playing, whatever sport you're in, if you're not mentally strong, it's so important to be right up there. If you're not mentally strong, you'll fall by the wayside.
Well,
you can have all the ability in the world, but you'll fall by the wayside.
You've always been their strongest supporter, Dickie. Happy retirement, semi-retirement at least.
Well, I've another season left on the county circuit, and then I'll be 65, and then they pension me off, but...
What a nice prospect. Dickie Bird, ladies and gentlemen. He'll go on for hours.
Thanks, Steve.
In race racing this year, we'll all remember that one day when the bookies lost £30 million due to one of the all-time great sporting feats. Frankie Dettori's historic 7-timer at Ascot was the undoubted highlight of the flat season. The year didn't start too well for the bookies either, when for the first time in 14 years, the favourite won the Grand National.
Rough Quest was declared a runner only 6 days before the race. When he heard the news, he wasn't that enthusiastic. Only 27 faced the starter. It was enough. But the second year running, there wasn't a single faller at Beechers. At the last fence, Encore and Purr was clear, but Rough Quest was ready to pounce, go on to win, and survive a steward's inquiry.
Rough Quest, the Gold Cup second, is now striding away, and Rough Quest is going to win the 1996 National. Rough Quest comes up to the line to win it.
Mick Fitzgerald then earned himself a night on the sofa.
I've not enjoyed 12 minutes for as long in a long time. I think sex is an anticlimax after that.
At Cheltenham, Collier Bay beat the odds-on favourite Alderbrook in the champion hurdle. It was the biggest win ever for trainer Jim Old, but tragedy followed. In the autumn, his stables were burnt to the ground. The Grey One Man was a hot favourite for the Gold Cup, but jockey Conor O'Dwyer rode Imperial Call to Ireland's first Gold Cup success for 10 years, a training triumph for British-born Fergie Sutherland. Tony McCoy was champion jockey with 175 winners. This autumn, he competed the fastest ever 100. On the flat, Lester Piggott was honoured on Derby Day, and the race won by his son-in-law William Haggis and jockey Michael Hills.
It's Charmit, 2 or 3 lengths clear. Dushianto and Shantu running on well, but I don't reckon they're going to get to the leader. It's Charmit in front, punched out. It's Charmit's Derby.
But the horse of the year was the French colt Elisio, a spectacular 6-length winner of the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe at Longchamp.
Elisio has got absolutely clear of his field. Olivier Pellier's going to win his first Arc de Triomphe. Elisio getting a terrific roar from the crowd. He's going to win this in tremendous style.
Henry Cecil won classic races with Lady Carla and Bosra Sham, but Saeed bin Sarur, Sheikh Mohammed's nominee, was champion trainer. Pat Edery at 44 was champion jockey for the 11th time. Willie Carson was less lucky. A savage kick in the paddock at Newbury ended his season and almost cost him his life. Walter Swinburne had a miraculous escape in Hong Kong. The head injuries sustained in this crash left his life on a thread for 48 hours. In the autumn, he was back to win a $2 million race. But the man who triggered a sporting earthquake was Frankie Dettori. His 7-timer at Ascot's Festival of Racing wrote a new page of racing history. He knows a thing about celebration, and he knows how to count.
Wall Street and Frankie Dettori going to win the opener. Wall Street has won it. Difficult to Challer on the far side, and on the near side UK and Prince, but at the line, oh, it's a photo. And mark of esteem on Frankie Dettori. He completes a fantastic treble. Frankie, mark of esteem, has won it. It's going to be another for Frankie Dettori as they race up towards the line. Decorated Hero sprints away to win it.
Faithfully, and Frankie Dettori bidding for this fantastic 5-timer, and he looks as if he's just going to do it. Though Bayer's finishing very fast. Faithfully just holds a Bayer. It looks like 6 for Frankie Dettori as they run up to the line. Corsini is putting in a last effort, but Lock Angel holds on for the 6-timer. It's a desperate finish as they run up to the line. Fujiama Press finding a bit more, and it's 7 for Frankie.
Well, it was certainly Frankie's year, but it wasn't your day yesterday in Hong Kong, a horrific accident.
No, exactly.
How are you?
I'm not too bad. I just felt like I've been 2 rounds with those 2 guys over there. Obviously, I'm so everywhere, but it's part of the job, and I'm very lucky to be here tonight. with nothing broken, just the pride broken. But we'll fix that very soon.
So great days like Ascot. I mean, you've shown that, you know, have the good and the bad days. That's racing.
Yes, it was one of those days that I'll never forget. At the time, I didn't realize what was actually happening. And by doing that, I lost a lot of friends because they all said, why didn't you call me and tell me you were going to ride 7? But yeah, it was great.
But Fujiyama Crest, the 7th winner, I mean, it shouldn't really have won, surely.
It was funny, I was walking to the paddock, it was a 12-to-1 shot. And when I looked at the board, it was a 2-to-1 favourite. And, you know, it was beyond my dream to win the last race. And it was a dream come true. I've got no explanation how I did it or why it happened, but I was lucky to, you know, to be able to do so. And I'm very lucky to enjoy such a great sport. And I guess why the success comes, because I enjoy it so much.
Well, that certainly put you on the front pages, and your life changed. I mean, what's this, hosting Top of the Pops? How did that come about?
Yes, it was funny. One of the producers called me to host Top of the Pops. I thought perhaps they got the wrong number. And it was the hardest thing I'd ever done on TV. It took 8 hours to do a half-an-hour show. But
no, you did it very well. Now, look, I know whatever happens at the end of this programme, you're going to be celebrating because it's your 26th birthday today.
Yes.
And there are 2 people who were featured on that, not in very good circumstances. We have a little surprise for you, Willie Carson and Walter Swinburne. They've been slaving away all day baking this for you. I hope, hope you like it.
I was wondering why they would, you know, kept squeezing me in the back.
They had a surprise. Well, we know that your wish, I know, next year is to win the Derby. That's the one you haven't won. So go on, make a wish and blow out the candles.
Are those the ones you can't...
Of course not. Would we do that? Would we do that to you? This is the BBC. Frankie's obviously got quite a bit of work to do, but thank you very much to Willie Carson, Walter Swinburne, and of course, Frankie Dettori.
I thought Walter and Willie were going to be in the cake. However, 1996 has, of course, been Olympic year. The Atlantic Games produced many great moments, but there was the shadow of the bombing outrage and much criticism of the organisation. The opening of the Games was dramatic and poignant. The old Olympic champion and most famous sportsman of all time was there, despite failing health, to light the flame. Muhammad Ali.
What a moment. The former world heavyweight champion, one of the great figures in sport.
On the track in Atlanta, Britain had Linford Christie out to defend his 100 metres title. Linford had created a few dramas about whether he would compete or not, but they were nothing to the drama of the event itself.
Having finally made his decision to compete, Christie was as focused as ever. A good start was vital to his chances. But he took a flyer out of the blocks, and now the pressure was really intense. Just one more chance. Again, Christie was adjudged to have beaten the starter. He couldn't believe it. A second yellow meant a red card. The computer did not lie. And Christie, the gold medalist of 4 years before, was out. A new 100 metres champion was about to be crowned.
It's time to get away. Bolden got away well. Also going well alongside him is Dennis Mitchell. And it's Bolden! And Bolden can throw and Bailey! Bailey wins it! 9.84 is a new world record.
Jonathan Edwards had been Britain's best hope for a gold in the triple jump. But America's Kenny Harrison was looking sharper than the world record holder. Edwards was going to have to break the Olympic record to win. The distance was well within his range. British viewers And commentators were taking the jumps with him.
Come on, it's got to be long, but the rules are the rules. Jonathan Edwards, gold rush here in Atlanta is over.
While Harrison jumped for joy, his girlfriend, Gail Devers, was retaining her 100 metres title by a fraction. Merle Ottey of Jamaica beaten again, this time by 5/1000ths of a second. Victory for Devers was just a sweet second time around. The 200 gold slipped away from Ottey too, as Marie-Jose Perec of France, already the 400-metre winner, became one of several double champions in Atlanta. Another was Svetlana Mastakova, too strong for an injury-hit Kelly Holmes. She dominated the women's middle distance. Sally Gunnell, having missed the World Championships, was back after injury. But like Christie, she was involved in a dramatic outcome.
And this is the crucial. Oh, and Sally Gunnell stuttered and stumbled, and it happened earlier this time, and she's in desperate trouble, and she's out, she's limping, and she's gone. And that a dreadful, dreadful end to what has been a difficult year.
Britain's most famous track stars were having a poor time. Liz McColgan was disappointing in the marathon. An insect bite didn't help her. Hurdler Tony Jarrett fell this time. And Colin Jackson was short of his best form. American Alan Johnson took the sprint hurdles, and his daughter produced the interview of the year.
What about Daddy tonight?
He was good.
He was good enough, was he?
Yes.
And were you cheering for him?
Yes.
And clapping for him at the end, I bet.
Yes.
For the great Carl Lewis, it was his 4th Olympics, and he was still not finished.
Oh, was so elegant on the runway, and he's nailed one. Oh, yes. That could be the fairy tale ending of Carl Lewis's Olympic career.
World record holder Mike Powell, his great rival, pulled up injured and in agony. Lewis had written another chapter in his extraordinary Olympic story. Other Olympic heroes, Morsley of Algeria in the 1500 metres, Gebre Selassie of Ethiopia, 10,000 metres. Dan O'Brien underlining his status as the latter-day Daley Thompson. A second goal for Donovan Bailey as the Canadians won the sprint relay. And in the marathon, Josia Tugwani became the first black athlete to win an Olympic gold medal for South Africa. Britain could not win a gold medal, but Steve Smith took bronze in high jump. Steve Backley added to his Barcelona bronze with a silver. Jan Zelezny was still #1 in javelin. A personal best for Denise Lewis in javelin helped her to heptathlon bronze. And the brilliant relay boys took a silver behind the Americans. Their anchor, Roger Black, back in confident form, had already won an individual silver in the 400. The gold would have simply been asking too much. Michael Johnson was just unbeatable, and in the 200 metres, he was simply out of this world, the golden goody two-shoes of the Atlanta Olympics.
Way first time, look at the flashbulb in the background. And as usual, Johnson is blistering away. Also going well in lane 6 is Adam Bolden and Fredericks. But it's Johnson off the bend. Fredericks second, Bolden third. And Johnson is going away. Johnson by yards. Johnson wins his second goal. Fredericks second, Bolden third. And the world record has gone. Michael Johnson is now, without any doubt whatsoever, one of the greatest Olympic athletes in history.
Michael, it was a phenomenal run, and you got pretty emotional at the end there. We haven't seen that before.
It was a dream come true for me. There's a lot of hard work that went into that, and making Olympic history was what I went in there to achieve. And when you achieve a goal that you've set for yourself and you've worked so hard to get there, and it all comes together, it's just an emotional moment, and there'll probably never be another moment like that in my life, representing my country on my own home soil.
Everybody was staggered by the time. How amazed were you?
I wasn't amazed because it wasn't something that I didn't think I could do. I felt that I was capable of doing it, but I was surprised at the time because I didn't go in there to run a particular time. I went in to win the race, so it was a pleasant surprise.
Could you go faster, do you think?
Well, that wasn't the perfect race, so I have to believe, yes, that I can go faster.
That wasn't the perfect race.
Yeah, I mean, you never know when you run the perfect race, but you do know when you make mistakes, and I did make a couple of mistakes.
Where did you go wrong exactly then?
It was, I mean, there was a stumble on my third step out of the blocks, and so that probably cost me a few hundredths of a second.
Well, Donovan Bailey's right next to you, and Donovan, of course, you broke the 100 metres world record too, and you went out of the blocks a little later than the others. I mean, it was a staggering time nonetheless, but you could definitely go faster, couldn't you?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's probably one of the most mistake-filled races I ran all year.
9.84.
Yeah, so I mean, I know that I still have some weaknesses, and definitely plan on
You're seekers after truth, you two. But you got more satisfaction, I think, from that win than you did at the World Championships last year, when some people still doubted your ability, I thought, after that.
Well, they doubted my ability at the Olympic Games also. I mean, I thought it was kind of funny. I guess I had something to prove, and I always work hard and try and plan on peaking at major championships.
And of course, you beat the Americans in the relay.
Oh, that was the biggest enjoyment there.
Yeah, Michael wasn't running in that particular one.
Wouldn't have mattered.
Now you two, now you two guys are.
It's a compliment to the Americans when everyone is so happy to beat them in the relay. So thank you.
Right, absolutely. Well, you two guys are going to get it on the track, aren't you, in the new year, over 150 metres. Now, this is this sort of in-between distance, which you don't normally run. Tell us about what's going to happen.
Right now it's set to take place May 31st, over 150 metres, and I think it's a great opportunity for track and field, and I think that in the past years when we've had a lot of talk in track about major athletes and the stars not competing head-to-head, I think it's a great situation when you have 2 world champions, 2 Olympic gold medalists, and 2 world record holders that come together and not afraid to go out there and run.
Is it winner take all?
I think so. I think that's the rules.
Any doubts about that, Mike?
Well, I've been guaranteed a little bit, so. Donovan may want to go back and redo his deal.
That's business for you. But you don't normally compete against it. Have you competed against each other once or twice?
We competed once, and one day we both ran the 100 and 200, and he won the 100 and I won the 200.
Okay, so it's going to be quite a race. We'll look forward to that very much. Now, Roger Black's here, tiebreaker, exactly. Roger Black's here. Come on, Roger, come out and join us.
This is the closest I've been to Michael.
I was going to say, have you been this close before?
No,
yet?
never this
No, you
We're
haven't.
on the rostrum together.
Exactly, but in that 400, did you have to set your store out and say, well, I'll go for the silver medal and just not think about this man, or what?
I think you go to run your perfect race. If you concentrate on Michael, you're going to probably mess up. And that's all I did. I went to run my perfect race. I did what I was humanly able to do. And it was great to come second behind him.
Had a great view of him, though, didn't you?
I did. I had a great view of him. I'm getting used to it. So.
Yeah. But you've been written off a few times and come back and had a wonderful season.
Yeah, it's great. And to do it in an Olympic year is fantastic.
And what about those relay boys? They're only about 17 and 18.
I know, they're all young. They're all back there.
They're all back
They're in the
there,
back row, so Des, we'll keep them back there.
Keep them there for another few years.
Yeah, we've got a great squad. We've got a squad for the future. And if that squad can stay healthy, I think we'll be up there.
Thank you. 3 great athletes here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Well, away from the athletics, how did the British medal hopes fare? Well, the man who carried perhaps the highest expectation of all had a further responsibility on the opening night of the Games.
Once again, Stephen Redgrave was flying the flag and aiming to take his place in Olympic history with a 4th successive gold. Meanwhile, Ireland were heading for a first Olympic swimming title.
Michelle Smith looks good. And Ireland are going to win their first ever Olympic medal, and it's going to be gold. Incredible performance.
It became yet more incredible. 2 further golds and a bronze for Michelle, and the anticipated American celebration in the pool was silenced. The Olympic soccer champions, the surprising and exhilarating Nigerians. Naeem Suleiman Oglu was lifting his 3rd Olympic title, almost as comfortably as the first. The Brazilian women won with grace on the beach. American winners showed a different style.
Why? Because this is how we do it over here in America, son.
Well, the eagle's been flying slow, and the flag's been flying low, and a lot of people saying that America's fixing to fall. But speaking just for me, and some people from Tennessee, we got a thing or two to tell you all. This lady may have stumbled, but she ain't never failed. And if the Russians don't believe that, they can all go straight to hell.
Gymnastics team gold clinched by the heroics of Kerry Strug, the American dream alive and well, until down in Centennial Park, it became the American nightmare.
So many people bothering her all the time, I didn't want to be another person.
And nobody's bothering you, right?
Well,
Two people died as a result of the Centennial Park bomb. The perpetrator is still unknown.
The games will go on. I repeat, the games will go on.
They went on in a rather more somber mood. The world needed reminders of the Olympic ideals, and the re-presentation of a gold medal to Muhammad Ali certainly helped.
However, magic moments were at a premium for the British, as many of our medal hopes disappeared one by one.
Kath Johnson has to get this, or Netherlands get the bronze.
It's saved. Heartbreak for poor Kath Johnson.
Oh, win! Oh!
Like many, Lynn Simpson just missed out, but there were medals for Britain to celebrate. Paul Palmer won silver in the 400 metres freestyle.
Palmer takes silver. A medal at last for Great Britain. What a swim that was.
Graham Smith took 1500 metres freestyle bronze. But Nick Gillingham was controversially denied a medal. Chris Boardman, a bronze medalist in the time trial. Max Hendry, road race bronze. Bronze also for the coxless fours. The Savannah Storms didn't prevent 2 yachting silvers, John Merricks and Ian Walker in the 470s, and Ben Ainsley in the laser class. And one of the biggest surprises saw Tim Henman and Neil Broad reach the men's doubles final.
That's it. Game, set, match. Wimbledon to 6-4, 6-4, 6-2.
That silver medal, a further bonus for British tennis. For another partnership, history beckoned. Steve Redgrave with Matthew Pinsent, again about to demonstrate that Olympic gold is founded on sacrifice, commitment, and dedication.
This 2 weeks is what it's all about. It's the Olympic Games. It's the sporting event of an amateur athlete's dreams.
The Brits are on their feet, and Great Britain are heading for the gold medals. Stephen Redgrave is making his way into Olympic history. Matthew Pinsent is adding to his lustre. They are now absolutely flat out. The Australians are coming at them, and the Australians have bitten something back from them, but not enough. Great Britain, gold medals! Stephen Redgrave. Pinson. Great Britain's first gold medal. It's been a long time coming. They carried all the weight of expectation, and they have not let us down. Stephen Redgrave, champion for the 4th successive time. What emotions go through his mind?
Anyone sees me go anywhere near a boat, you've got my permission to shoot me. I do not ever want to get in a boat again. I've had enough.
Well, maybe against his better judgment, but he is back in the boat. Steve Redgrave, along with Matthew Pinson.
He's lost it now.
I'd get out pretty quick if I was you. Matthew providing all the motive power there.
As usual.
No real change. When you gave us that quote at the end of the Olympic final, as you said it, do you think, my goodness, I'm going to regret this?
No, not at all. It was something I felt at the time. I believed it as I said it, and I didn't think anyone would pick up on it at all. How wrong you can be.
We know what you said immediately after the race. What were the kind of things that Steve was saying during the course of that Olympic final?
It would be a nice story to say, we're going to win at halfway or whatever, but it wasn't, I'm afraid. It was all very workmanlike, and even towards the end, when the Australians were coming back at us and I was beginning to get a bit concerned, Steve was very relaxed and saying, let them come, no, not yet, not yet, not yet. And with about 20 strokes to go, he was kind of, right, now, finish it. And as we crossed the line, it was... he was knackered, so he didn't have the breath.
That's why I wanted to retire. Has that always been the philosophy, not win by too much?
Well, 4 years ago, we won by a very large margin, the biggest in the Olympic regatta. And that's soon forgotten. It's about winning. It's about crossing that line first. And now I've decided to carry on for another 4 years. That we want to let them think they've got a chance, so they don't quite swap all their crews about. So we have the same people to race.
Well, now you're actually confronted by the reality of carrying on. And from December the 1st, you've been out on those early morning training sessions. Indeed, you were training this very morning. This was, what, about 7 o'clock this morning at Henley. And in fact, this is the first time that you've been back with Matthew, the old pair again.
That's the first time back into the pair. We've been out in a few single sculls and been out in a double scull, but that's the first time we've actually got back into the pair since the Olympics.
Was the old magic there, Matthew?
No. Far too early.
Now, you're not going to compete, or the intention doesn't seem to be to compete with Matthew as a pair in Sydney. What's the thinking behind that?
Well, the idea is to give the pair a break and try and find a four that will be as good as the pair has been. At the moment now, we're looking for people that to try and fill their slots. There's a lot of people around that's very motivated to try and get into that. If it works, it'll be brilliant. If it doesn't, we can always move back to this baby.
I know how tough a decision it was for you to carry on. What was the hardest part, perhaps, breaking the news to Anne over there?
Yeah, for me, it was a very easy decision to make, that to carry on for another 4 years, and the enjoyment that I've had over the last 20, that to carry on that for another 4 years would be very good. For the family, it was a much harder decision. The kids are getting older, they'll be well at school by the time the next Olympics comes along. And I think Anne was hoping that I would pack it all in and do a real job.
Well, your wife, Anne, why don't we get your opinion? Are you as enthusiastic as ever about the next 4 years?
I'm coming round.
I'm sure you'll give your usual support, to the extent that I know that under your seat over there, you've got our first award of the evening, or at least I hope you have. And I can think of no one better to come out and present the Team of the Year award to Steve Redgrave and Matthew Pinson. I think, before you do, at this moment, we've only got one of these awards. We'll get another one made up. I think perhaps you ought to present it to Matthew, because you know what he's had to put up with over the last 4 years. And you never know what Steve might receive a little later in the evening. Team of the Year, Steve Redgrave, Matthew Pinson.
Well, Steve's won 4 gold medals. This lady's won 3 at the One Olympics, Michelle Smith. Many congratulations, but you seem to shake up the world with those wins. How surprised were you?
Not very surprised. Well, surprised to win 4. But in the weeks prior to the Games, we had trained very hard over the last 2 years in Holland. And I knew I was fit. I just had to see how my competitors were doing.
There was all that innuendo flying around about you, though, wasn't there? They thought you were cheating, didn't they?
Well, I heard lots of quotes about myself during the week, and I even heard one of the American coaches say I wasn't ranked in the top 70 in the world last year when I was ranked number 2 in 2 events. So.
He hadn't spotted that.
He hadn't spotted it.
Yeah. But how did all those sort of criticisms, how did they obviously didn't affect your performance, but how did they affect your peace of mind at the time?
They didn't affect me at the time because I swam a 400 metres freestyle a couple of weeks before the Games and swam the fastest time in the world. So I knew going into the Games that I was going to be a threat to a lady called Janet Evans, and then coach said to me, you know, you're going to have a lot of hassle.
Because of it?
Yeah, so I was expecting it.
Right. Well, let's take it on a little bit. When you went back to Ireland, there was a bit of a party going on, wasn't there? A bit of a shindig? A bit of a party.
Well, it had gone on for 7 days during the Olympics, and I had a lot of complaints from a lot of bosses saying that their employees were out till about 4 o'clock in the morning and then coming into work at 8 and weren't able to work. So it continued on when I went home.
And it's still been going, hasn't it, the last few
years?
years?
Yes, it's still chaotic over there.
And you're helping the kids swim in Ireland now, yes?
Yeah, I'm helping some children in some areas where they would normally not have the chance to be able to swim.
Right.
They've been doing a 10-week programme and they get a diploma at the end of it.
Fantastic. They might build a decent swimming pool there in the end.
I hope so. We need one.
You never know. Well, many congratulations. You had a wonderful year. Michelle Smith.
Thank you.
Sooner had one Games finished, the Olympic flame was relit in Atlanta to celebrate the start of the Paralympics. Team spirit within the British squad had never been better, and they were determined to maintain their great tradition of success at the Games.
Britain's resilient and proud team were the second largest delegation in Atlanta. They were well prepared and confidence was tangible. The presence of Christopher Reeve an added inspiration.
The triumph of the human spirit. The motto of the Paralympics expresses the character of the athletes.
15-year-old Emily Jennings got the team off to a flying start to win the first gold medal for Britain. Not to be outdone, Sarah Bailey set a world record within minutes of Emily's success.
Sarah Bailey's going to win the second gold medal for Great Britain. She does, new world record.
The students' final tally, 3 golds, a silver and a bronze. It was always going to be tough for Chris Holmes to top an historic 6 golds in Barcelona, but his hat-trick went a long way to completing a superb Games for the swimmers. For the first time, swimmers and athletes with a learning disability were included in the Paralympics. Tracy Wiscombe and Nigel Bourne were Britain's talented duo with 2 golds each. Physio Noel Thatcher is perhaps the most incredible of our athletes. Nursing a stress fracture, he first took the 10,000 metres well inside the world record and then the 5,000.
He's timed it to perfection. Thatcher takes gold for the second time.
The marathon proved too much, but one day he may well do a Zatopek and win all 3. Another headline maker was Stephen Payton, a triple gold medalist on the track. Stephen, with cerebral palsy, encountered a 12-hour overnight drug test, just one of the organisational blunders the British team endured. 3 times London Marathon winners Tanni Gray and David Holding proved their amazing versatility. Gray won the 800, Holding the 100, both set world records. Simon Jackson carried the flag and the unshakable belief that he would win for the 3rd Games in a row. There's only one chance of gold in judo. It took the visually impaired hero from Lancashire just 24 seconds. Di Coates also won her 3rd successive gold. Equestrian made its debut and Britain cleaned up. Amputee Jo Jackson got 3, her first on a horse that she'd known for just 30 minutes. The bowls team were outstanding with 6 golds, 4 of them on Fabulous Friday when Britain topped the table for 6 glorious hours.
Great Britain go to the final and on the verge of one of the greatest moments ever of British Paralympic basketball.
The unexpected rise of the British basketball team had been a great morale booster throughout the Games, but in the final, Australia were gritty opponents and deserved their victory. 39 goals and Great Britain reached new heights in sporting excellence at the biggest Paralympics ever. The challenge now is to keep the flame alight until Sydney.
Well, 3 of the gold medalists have joined me here, Sarah Bailey, Simon Jackson and Stephen Payton. Stephen, I'll start with you. Your first games, what were your impressions of Atlanta?
The usual, the weather was hot and the transport wasn't too good.
But you got 3 track golds. Was there one that you treasure more than the others?
The first. Of course, you always dream of like 1 gold is like the top, but getting 3, and then the relay as well, it just sort of finished off a good week.
It certainly was a tremendous week. Now, Simon, 24 seconds we saw there for the final. Pretty impressive. You're improving.
Yeah, it was 5 in Barcelona, so I thought I'd take my time a little bit more for the crowd. Give them something to watch. You know, my dad watched it in Barcelona. He travelled all that way for 5 seconds, so he said, I'm going to Atlanta, take a bit more time, will you? So, you know, it messed me hair up a little bit, though, but that's them the breaks.
But your 3rd Olympic gold, I mean, you obviously enjoy the competition.
No, I hate it. No, I love it. I'm a bit sorry to hear that Steve's going to jump back in a boat, because I'm going for my 4th in Sydney, Steve. And that means I've got to go to the next one to equal you. So, can you retire, please?
Now, listen, I've heard 82 fights in 10 years.
86.
86 now,
86.
Undefeated.
Yeah.
What's the secret of your success, then?
I train hard. Seeing Steve in a boat at 6 o'clock in the morning, I don't jump in a boat, but I jump on a judo mat early. I'm dedicated. Judo is my life. Which is a bit sad, I suppose, but I do go out as well now and again. Chase as many girls as I can. I must just say so, you look very nice tonight.
What are you saying?
Don't take it as too much of a compliment. I'm visually impaired.
I think it's time for me to swiftly move on. Sarah, 3 golds in the pool. Did you go there expecting that much success?
Not really. I dreamed of it. I dreamed of it for a long time. And I dreamed to top the medal table, which I did. And I couldn't believe it when I'd finished. I got to the airport in Gatwick and my name was at the top. And I was like, really? Is it me? And it was unbelievable.
And what was it like standing on that podium receiving the golds?
You can still see it now. You can sort of see the flag going up, you can hear the national anthem, see all my family cheering and waving, massive great big flag that they'd painted, and it was just brilliant, really, really good.
Well, it was brilliant for us to watch. Tremendous success for the British team. I'm going to escort Simon back to his seat now. But ladies and gentlemen, our Paralympians.
In boxing, our special guest tonight, Evander Holyfield, dominated the year. For Frank Bruno, after achieving his life's ambition of winning a world title last year, it was time to call it a day.
Tyson's putting him away. Oh, Bruno's down.
Achieved my dream. Sadly, it happened against the Mike Tyson fight, but that's how life goes, you know.
But there is still a British world heavyweight champion. Henry Akinwande won the WBO version and defended it against Russia's Zolkin. Nassim Hamid beat no fewer than 4 challenges for his featherweight crown, and another busy year is scheduled. Northern Ireland's Wayne McCulloch is bidding for a 2nd WBC belt, this time at super bantamweight in January, while Robbie Regan won the WBO version of the bantamweight title back in April. Irishman Steve Collins got cut before his world title return with Nigel Benn, but Collins won again and Benn retired. And at the same weight, super middle, Robbie Reed won the WBC version in Italy. Look out for Reed v Collins.
I can see in my crystal ball a new heavyweight boxing champion in training.
Mystic Frank right again. Evander Holyfield carried the Olympic torch in his home city in July. In November, he beat Mike Tyson for the biggest sporting upset in years and returned home in triumph.
And now let's meet the man. Most people doubt it. He never doubted himself. The heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Holyfield. How are you? Nice to meet you. I think you'll gather that people here thought you did rather well.
Yes.
What was the key to the victory against Tyson?
I'm just having faith.
You know, I've been boxing for 26 years, and I'm confident. And you know, I've been boxing too many years to go in the ring and not give my all. I guess the most important thing in life is to give your all.
Yeah. You seem to show no fear, but tell us what it was like, say, in the locker room half an hour before that fight. Did you get a bit nervy then, the thought of facing Tyson?
Well, not at all.
No.
You know, Tyson and I, we came up through amateur together. You know, I trained just as hard as he. Only difference is that, you know, what the individual believe in. You know, I believe in Christ, and he gives me confidence, and I knew that I couldn't lose because all I had to do is give my best. So that wasn't any added pressure on me. All I had to do was just go out and just perform.
You clearly hurt Tyson. How much did he hurt you in the fight?
Well, not at all. You know, I got hit with a
Not at all?
No, no.
You had to take a few, though.
Well, you know, you get hit, but, you know, I've been getting hit for 26 years, and it's no different from, you know, the other fighters.
Yeah. And what's going to happen in the near future? Are you going to go on fighting? Because there was this sort of heart scare or something a couple of years ago, wasn't there? They said your heart was...
Well, yeah, I was over-medicated and I was over-hydrated, and that would cause me to go into a heart failure, and that was after the fight. And I recovered, I was healed, and I told everybody I was healed. And I had 2 or 3 fights, and it's not every day you put up your best performance, but you know, you did the best you could that day.
Yeah. And are you going to go on? What's going to happen?
Well, I'm going to fight again, hopefully May or June, and looking forward to fighting 3 fights in the year 1987.
That's great. Any opponents underlined yet or lined up?
Well, Tyson, maybe.
You meet him again?
Yeah, Tyson.
There's going to be a return?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you need the money, I expect, don't you?
Well,
yeah.
The money helps.
It sure does. Stay there for a moment. Frank Bruno, come on out and join us, Frank. How are you, Frank? Good to see you. Do you know this man?
Yeah, I think I know him pretty well over the years. He's done a feat, you know. Yeah. Unbelievable. Congratulations.
How surprised were you that Evander won that title from Tyson, having met him twice yourself?
I was a little bit surprised because when he fought Bobby Chiquez, I thought sometimes, as he said, some days are good days. He had a bad day there, and facing Tyson the way he was going, I was very surprised, but happily surprised because it was good versus evil in a way, because the things what the people, Tyson's people, saying to him, he's going to kill him and do this, and he's a good man, he's a good person, he's an ambassador for the boxing across the world, not only in his country, you know.
And what about you? Are you sad or are you glad that it's all over for you?
I'm glad it's all over for me at the moment because I don't want to end up with no grey ears, my nose twisted and talking like that. So I'm glad that I'm out. I've done what I had to do. I've made history in my own little world, you know, and I'm happy. And I made a little bit of coin along the way. And the tax man's taken some, but at the end of the day, I put some in the back pocket. So I'm curry, mate. I'm curry.
OK, then I found a promoter who's prepared to put up $20 million for you to fight Evander Holyfield.
Even if you put up £100 million, you know, I mean, I wouldn't go back in the ring, you know. I'm just happy and contented. You don't push your luck too far.
No way.
No way. £100 million, tax-free, everything, briefcase, the lot. I wouldn't go back.
So, Frank, what on earth? You're only a young man. What are you going to do for the rest of your life?
I'm doing pantomime at Bradford at the Lynam. And I'm ducking and diving. And like an old man in these slippers, just shuffling along at my own little pace. I'm happy, you know. I've got three beautiful kids, beautiful wife, and I'm just so happy I can jump up in the air.
What part are you playing this year?
I'm playing Little Frank. My wife don't say I'm little, but they say I'm playing Little Frank.
She's here tonight, Laura, isn't she?
No, she ain't here.
Oh, she's not here,
okay.
Well,
she's waiting for me.
Right, OK. Well, stay there just for a moment, because, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the moment when we announce our Overseas Sports Personality of the Year. Now, there are many candidates. Donovan Bailey we've met, Ireland swimming sensation Michelle Smith. But for the first time in the long history of this show, we have joint winners. Our Overseas Sports Personalities of the Year, for very obvious reasons, are Michael Johnson and Evander Holyfield. Michael, will you come on out as well, please? Congratulations. Frank, would you be kind enough to present those 2 awards to the gentlemen? Thank you very much indeed.
Congratulations on what you've done. And happy Christmas and all the best in 87. Congratulations on what you've done, Evander, and all the best in 87. And happy Christmas to you.
Our Overseas Personalities, and thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
where Britain clearly leads the world is snooker. Well, actually, it's not Britain, it's Scotland. Well, actually, it's not Scotland, it's Stephen Hendry.
Stephen Hendry began the year as a champion, winning the Benson and Hedges Masters. But the man he beat, Ronnie O'Sullivan, made the early headlines at the Embassy World Championship.
I mean, this is, what do we say, taking the mick?
The casual left-handed display from the showman upset opponent Elaine Robidoux. And when O'Sullivan allegedly assaulted a WPBSA official, he was in danger of being thrown out altogether. He got a record £20,000 fine.
I would like to apologise most sincerely to Michael Ganley, my fellow professionals, and the Embassy for my out-of-character behaviour.
The flamboyant Peter Ebdon became the threat to Hendry. Ebdon beat Jimmy White as the whirlwind waved goodbye to this year. Ebdon beat Steve Davis. Just lie back and enjoy it. And he beat Ronnie O'Sullivan, whose reprieve had helped him to the last four. It was Ebdon against Hendry for the title, the last world final to be commentated on by the retiring Ted Lowe, MBE. The Scot dominated the match, and we thought, here we go, the first 147 maximum in a Crucible final. More important, Hendry collected his 5th world crown in a row and his 6th in all.
Oh, it's not there. And it's all over. Peter Ebdon turns to congratulate Stephen Hendry. And from me, I just say goodbye and thank you so much.
In October in Bournemouth, a Grand Prix of shocks and surprises. Welshman Mark Williams eventually won it. Scotland's trio of John Higgins, Stephen Hendry and Alan McManus won World Cup gold in Bangkok. And in Preston, Higgins came very close to upsetting Hendry in the first ever all-Scottish UK final. But the world #1 produced a brilliant last-frame break. A record 7th World Championship is now the aim of the best there's ever been.
So we've just heard about Frankie's magnificent 7. Is your 7-timer the main aim for next year at the World Championship?
Definitely, yeah. That's obviously to beat the record. Last year to equal it was fantastic, so to go one better this year obviously is the aim.
You've had so much success for so many years. I mean, do you still have the motivation, the impetus to practice all the time?
Very much so. I'm very greedy, and winning, I think, in any sport is, you know, once you get the buzz for winning, you just want to keep on getting that buzz, and I still enjoy the competition, and I can't wait for every World Championship.
But surely you don't need to practice as much as you did.
I do. I still practice 4 or 5 hours every day. Pretty boring, but I still enjoy it, you know, and when you keep winning, you still enjoy the practice.
And so what about next year? I mean, is it Higgins the main rival then?
He is, yeah. I mean, it's great. I mean, Scotland, we're dominating snooker at the moment, which is fantastic. And, you know, Higgins is #2 in the world, and he's my closest challenger, well, obviously if he's #2. But, you know, he's my biggest danger.
But I must just ask, you show no sign of nerves, but surely there must be some turmoil inside, isn't there?
Oh, you do get nervous. I think you need the nerves to make you perform at your best. But once you get out on the table, I think that's when you show your true colours.
Okay, well, congratulations, another great year, and I'm sure another one ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephen Hendry.
It was a year of upheaval and revolution in both codes of rugby. Rugby union nearly split itself asunder in coping with the transition to the professional game. Rugby league became a summer game, the Super League forcing the most fundamental changes in the 100-year history of the code.
Change? What change? No one told Wigan.
Hi, Henry Paul at the engine room.
As the year and the page turned, it was business as usual for them. And Henry Paul was a driving force as Wigan beat St Helens 25-16 to take the Regal Trophy for a record-breaking 8th time. The Central Park Club then added the Centenary Championship to bring their trophy haul to 27 in the past 10 years. It completed a decade of domination for captain Sean Edwards and the club that retains such a thirst for success. In the Challenge Cup, well, Wigan never lose, do they? But in February they did, and it was a former Wigan hero, Andy Gregory, who plotted the shock result of the year. He coached Salford, a team from outside the top division, to a 26-16 victory, ending Wigan's remarkable unbeaten run of 43 matches in the competition. New faces at Wembley, Bradford and St Helens, and they were led out by Robbie Paul and Bobby Goulding, who proved to be inspirational captains in one of the great Challenge Cup finals. It was the Bradford skipper who took the Lance Todd Trophy for his personal performance.
Robbie Paul coming away! Oh, a magnificent try! And there is the first ever hat-trick at Wembley!
But it was Goulding who turned the game on its head. A hat-trick of towering bombs led to 3 St Helens tries in 7 minutes and brought them back from 14 points down to take the cup. Some things never change. The old up and under won the game for Saints.
The ball's loose! St Helens have scored again!
40-32 the score and records all the way. Most points, most tries, and the youngest ever trophy recipient, Bobby Goulding Jr. But even as St Helens celebrated, Rugby League's revolution was well underway. It was a winter sport no more. The game began its second century as a summer sport. And in the new handbook, well, enter the Dragons, the Broncos, the Bulls and the Boers, all playing in the brave new world of Super League. But it was the Saints again who were the first boys of summer. Victory over Warrington on the last day of the season gave them the title ahead of Wigan. New champions to herald a new dawn.
So too in rugby union as we came to the last words in that age-old book of amateurism, but not before the Battle of the Five Nations, when a French matador disposed of England.
My name is Thomas Castagnette, and I did this.
Drop goal attempt this time by Castagnette, and that's gone over in turn.
And with it, no repeat Grand Slam for England. Mind you, Scotland still fancied their chances at Murrayfield.
The French, oh, they're a big bunch. But the Scots, they're wiry, they're canny. Well, all the best.
And at times, it was.
A real chance here as Michael Dodds goes for his second try. Murrayfield is on its feet.
Boom, boom!
Next for Rob Wainwright was the old enemy.
My dog just hates the English. I'm sorry about that. OK, just relax, Sarah. We'll talk about something else.
But there was to be no joy for Scotland's captain or his dog as Dean Richards squeezed the life out of the Scottish effort. His controlling influence helped to make it 7 wins in a row over Scotland. Paul Grayson's boot alone provided England's 18 points. And for Dino, well, his toothless grin said it all. Reward too for Wales as players like John Davis typified another dogged effort. France became their first victim for 2 years. And Robert Howley proved he was the find of the season.
The pick-up again by Howley. What a burst of pace. And Howley is going to score. A magnificent try.
For Captain Jonathan Humphreys, it must have felt as good as a Grand Slam. At last, someone had been licked. For Will Carling, there was nothing new to experience except an emotional captaincy farewell and a cruel twist of fate. An inappropriate end this to his 59th game as England captain. And a moment that was to bring Phil de Glanville, his heir apparent as leader, once more out into the spotlight. But against Ireland there was still another championship title to claim, and they made sure it ended with a flourish.
All the way through, John Slight home. His first England try, and one that surely settles the issue.
A 4th title and a 44th win in Captain Carling's unparalleled reign of success. His successor, Phil de Glanville, lifted with Bath the League and Cup trophies. Shannon were Ireland's champions. Wales Pontypridd took the Cup and Neath took the lead. Melrose wrapped up another league title in Scotland. But as the season ebbed away, so the fires of change were fully ignited as the champions of 2 rugby codes came together. League trounced Union at the league game, and then, who'd have predicted it, Wigan at Twickenham.
Henry Paul sets off. Who's got the pace to catch him? Oh, that's brilliant. Absolutely superb. Good score.
A rugby league team winning the Middlesex Sevens, and with it a rift of 100 years was over.
Bath redressed the balance for the Union game by trouncing Wigan at 15-a-side. So honours then were just about even. A new era was upon us, the professional game of rugby union. And as the old style gave way to the new, wrangles over money and control of the game created more publicity than the razzmatazz. World stars of rugby union arrived for world-class wages. Top league players were readily tempted into union colours with the leading clubs. European Cup rugby's taken off. Leicester and Cardiff could yet win it. And amidst all the chaos and a flurry of international matches, moments of nostalgia as a prodigal son returns from league and Union's greatest star of a decade, David Campese, says arrivederci. A new chapter unfolds.
Now, we've already looked back at Euro 96, but on the domestic front, football at the top level has never looked healthier. Packed stadiums, quality play, and of course, again, loads of money. Now... Sorry about that, it is live. Now, where would we be on this programme each year without our fun item? The TV critics like this bit especially. Now, with football penalty taking so much in the news this year, a chance for some of our personalities to have a crack from the spot to find out just how easy it is. So in goal for us, he's played 999 games. This is number 1,000 for former England great Peter Shilton. So who's going for the pizza or the brown paper bag? Well, big Arsenal fan, wearing 7, of course, Frankie Dettori. Frankie's here. Take a bow, Frankie. Thank you. Number 8 in the Wimbledon shirt. Well, that's where he got to the last 8, Tim Henman. It's all good stuff, this. In the Newcastle colours, wearing 9.84, his world record time, Donovan Bailey. Also in the Newcastle colours, wearing number 7, heptathlete, you see, Olympic medalist Denise Lewis. And last but not least, always been a man for his country, given a few of the 10 count, so in the England shirt wearing 10 is Frank Bruno. Now, the laughter is about the shoes, you see. Frank unfortunately forgot his trainers, didn't you, Frank? Yeah, never mind now. Now, to keep the score, our senior football pundit, Mr. Jimmy Hill.
Very nice indeed. Now the line.
Jimmy had a bit of makeup on those knees, but no. And will, of course, give us an hour's analysis in due course about actually what happened. Now, you've got the whistle, Jim. We're going to play to the whistle, and Frankie, you're first. You're always in the lead, so you can be first, and you get 2 chances to score to get you into the get you through the qualifying, so to speak. So, Peter, you all ready? Wait, you have to wait for the whistle, as Jimmy says, and when you get the whistle from James. Oh! What a save. So, Frankie, you get another go, Frank.
I'm sorry, Des, sorry.
So, Frankie goes through to the next round. Now, Tim Henman next. Tim. There we go. Head down. Great dive, Peter. Bad luck, Tim. You get another go. Just think Kafelnikov.
Need to keep my head down a little bit, I think.
Into the net, not over it.
Good one. So you got that, Tim goes through. Right, now we've got Donovan Bailey. Come on, Donovan.
See you.
You get another go then, Donovan, see if you can get through.
Huh? How am I going to do that, man? It's not a bad play. All right, I got it. Oh! No.
Take a run at it.
No, I got power in here. There's some power here. It's all right.
Good tip, Jim. Whistle then, Jim. Bad luck, Donovan. So Donovan's out, unfortunately. Now Denise. Denise, let's see what Denise can do.
Come
There
on.
she comes. Yeah. She's a game girl. There we go.
Nearly missed him.
It's all right, Denise. We've checked the insurance. There's another go. Bad luck, Denise. Never mind. Right, Frank. Now remember, Frank's got the wrong shoes on.
That's my excuse.
Used to play schoolboy for Sussex, didn't you?
Centre forward, yeah.
Centre forward for Sussex schoolboys.
Yeah.
Can play.
Cheers. The shoes,
It was,
Des,
of course,
the
a
shoes.
long time
The
ago.
shoes, yeah. So we've got 3 left, and now it's knockout from now on. And first to go will be Frankie. Only one chance this time, Frank.
I'm surprised Frank's shoes didn't bite the ball. It's crocodile shoes.
Must have been the fall. You never lose it, Jim.
No.
Right. Bad luck, Frankie.
Couldn't resist the cut.
Bad luck, Frankie. So, now, Tim Henman. Frank now. Now Frank again. You could do it barefoot if you want, Frank. No?
My feet smell, Des. I think
Leave it with you.
Go. Let's go.
Go.
Thank you very much. So kind.
It's a great dive, Peter. Great dive. Right, we're down to 2. Still knockout. Tim now. All going well?
Very well indeed.
Timothy.
Very well indeed.
Whistle. Fiver, please.
Oh, no.
Oh, outside.
No. But now, of course, Frank's got to score this one to win the competition.
What does he win?
What was the competition? Is there any corn in there?
What?
Is there any corn in the competition if you win?
Sort of, Frank. We'll let you know. Corn, money. Where's that ball? Frank Bruno. Hey, Frank. Well done. Well done, Peter. Thank you very much for being such a sport. Frank, come on, this is the prize. It's not corn, but there's a ball signed by all the other competitors, first and foremost.
Very nice.
Now, I want you to stay here as well, because now that your boxing career has come to an end, we wanted to underline the esteem and affection which you're held by everyone in this country, and we'd like you to accept a Lifetime Achievement Award tonight. And to present it, you've often asked, where's Harry? Harry Carpenter is right here. Oh, Harry. I'll hold that for you.
Stop looking at my legs, Harry.
Wicked shoes. Wicked shoes. They really are.
Cheers. Nice one from
Now then,
Brixton,
as
where
one
you're
old retired chap to another, it's my privilege and pleasure to present you with this and to wish you and your family many, many happy years in your retirement, and just to thank you personally for all the excitement and the fun you've given me over the years.
Thank you very much, Harry. Cheers.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Harry.
So to Formula One, 8 months in which Damon Hill forced the nation, and especially Murray Walker, through every conceivable emotion. Back in March and April, we watched him apparently romping to the World Championship, but through the summer, the big prize remained elusive. And by the final round, 5 o'clock in the morning, Sunday the 13th of October, we were all sleepless at Suzuka when the celebrations finally began. In Japan, the dream replaced the doubts. A season of sometimes unbearable tension in which the good guy proved to be the strong guy as well. Damon Hill, world champion, the son succeeds the father. And the reputation of the Villeneuve family, that's in safe hands as well. Hill versus the growing talent of Jacques Villeneuve, the theme of a compelling season. The menace of Michael Schumacher was diluted by his move to Ferrari. A Williams was overwhelmingly the car to have. The opener in Melbourne, all Williams, but by no means all Damon.
There's not a lot of difference in it, and Villeneuve fights and retakes the lead.
An oil leak would cost Villeneuve victory, but it was a very impressive debut. Hill got the points, while Martin Brundle got the headlines, emerging unscathed from what remained the season's most violent accident. In Brazil and Argentina, while Villeneuve was learning the limits of his ability, Hill took 2 further victories. 3 wins out of 3. There was no more relaxed man in the pit lane. This was surely a title that wouldn't be thrown away. The Nürburgring provided a new perspective. Hill nudged out of the top 3. And his teammate fending off Michael Schumacher for his first victory in his first season of Formula One. Back came Hill to win at Imola, 4 wins out of 5. But the win he wanted most was Monaco. Lap 41, it seemed, in the bag. And then that rare thing for Williams-Renault.
Damon Hill out of the Monaco Grand Prix. He was destined not to win this race.
Fortunately, neither was Jacques Villeneuve. And by the time of the British Grand Prix, Villeneuve had slipped further behind, with Hill winning in Canada and France.
Because of maybe team orders, what's your reaction to this? Hey, blimey, hell.
Damon was in demand, 25 points clear in the championship, and Silverstone was ready for a celebration.
They play the national anthem now, I'll burst into tears.
But the celebration was postponed. A loose wheel nut sent Hill spinning off on lap 27. Jacques Villeneuve led from the start and led at the finish. At Hockenheim, Berger's exploding engine 3 laps from home gave Hill a vital victory. 5 races remained. His lead was still a comfortable 21 points. Then, with Villeneuve outscoring Hill in the next 2 races, came the bombshell. Williams would not be renewing Damon's contract. Heinz-Harald Frentzen was their new man, but at Monza, Hill could still take the title.
Look, under the bridge there, that is a Williams-Renault.
I made a mistake, just no explanation. I just hit the tyres. That was probably quite an easy race victory, but I threw it away.
The title was agonisingly close, the future desperately uncertain. It could all have been resolved in Estoril, but Villeneuve was brilliant.
Look left, it's Villeneuve going past. Jacques Villeneuve is taking Michael Schumacher. Fantastic bit of driving by both of them.
Hill's second place meant that a points finish in Japan would be enough to end the agony. Before that, Tom Walkinshaw settled Hill's future, but would he be driving for the ambitious Arrows team next year as world champion? The start at Suzuka was vital.
And a brilliant start by Damon Hill, and Villeneuve has been passed.
After such a perfect start, Villeneuve's final exit was immaterial. Damon drove with authority. Britain could celebrate a true champion, a world champion.
And Damon Hill exits the chicane and wins the Japanese Grand Prix. And I've got to stop because I've got a lump in my throat.
Damon Hill, hard to imagine, I know, but when the checkered flag came down at Suzuka, were you even more emotional than Murray?
It's difficult to be more emotional than Murray, actually. But yes, it was a tremendous feeling, and you know, the tension built all over the season, and to come down to the last race just added that. It built it up to, it couldn't be higher. I mean, it was enormous tension.
Because it wasn't just the last race. We talk very glibly about pressure, but everything that you've ever put into the sport really came down to the quality of the start that you would make at Suzuka. What on earth was going through your mind?
Well, I hope I made a good one. That was the only thing I could think of at the time. Was that
it was after a run of rather mediocre ones.
Yes, I had some problems with the start, so I practiced like mad to get them right, and it did, you know, it was vital that I did, because the last race was a crunch one, and it got off the line beautifully.
When you got clear, the race almost went like clockwork, like a practice run almost.
No, it was beautiful, and I just can't imagine a better ending for the season. It was just everything went my way, and I was very, very happy man on that day.
It's been a permanent celebration almost since, award ceremonies almost all over the world. What's the last few weeks been like?
It's been fantastic, and I've really enjoyed myself, and I've been making the most of it, because the World Championship was everything I'd worked for, and everywhere I've been, I've had a tremendous reception from all the fans, Formula One fans, and people around the world.
A great support, haven't you, down the years? Georgie, your mother Betty, they're both here with us tonight.
Very, very important, and to have the support and the backing of my wife Georgie, and of course my mother, who has been through it all once before with my father.
You're world champion, but you're resigned to the fact that next year you won't be able to successfully defend your title. Have you resigned your mind to everything that happened at the end at Williams?
Yes, I think Frank's shown that he's not about to go soft on any particular racing driver that he has driving for him. And, I've been up Everest the easy way with Williams in one way, so now I'm trying the hard route.
But life is going to be interesting in the middle of the pack, I think, next season. Possibly even more interesting than we could imagine. Can I mention one name? Mansell. How have you reacted to all the news of the last couple of weeks?
I've been watching it with great interest, and I don't know quite how it's going to come out, but I mean, it'd be fascinating to see if he does come back, to see how he does.
He might be watching this at home. You can't play golf at night after all. So if Nigel is looking in, what kind of message might you have for next season?
Well, I wish him all the best, and whatever decision he makes. And Nigel's been an inspiration for me in the early days coming into Formula One, and he's truly a giant of the sport.
You yourself have been the inspiration for many others this year. Congratulations. Damon Hill, world champion.
Throughout the evening, we've marvelled at some of the outstanding achievements of '96, but the picture's not quite complete. Here are some of the other stories and performances that have made an impact over the past 12 months.
Turn of the year, Stephen Cousins turned up in Sofia and edged himself into 4th spot in the European Championships, his best finish yet. Steve Beaton fired his arrows straight and true at the World Darts Championship. He won the title, and a few hearts by the look of it. David Gourley was simply the better of the two Scots who contested the World Bowls final indoors in Preston. In the Sierra Nevadas Great Outdoors, meantime, no rain in Spain, just snow and storming performances by Alberto Tomba. The Italian claimed the only prize to have eluded him, a world title, first in giant slalom, but in slalom he had to watch and wait.
200s between Niaga and Tomba, and it's all gone. Double gold for Alberto Tomba.
March saw two unique title defences, Dwayne Ladeja over 400 at the Europeans, and Tony Alcott bowled him over again in the World Singles. At the end of the World Figure Skating Championships, Alan Weeks retired from the commentary box. His distinguished career spanned 45 years and an impressive range of sports.
Oksana Grishuk, Evgeny Platov, brilliant. The movements of the steps in that first opening sequence was all very, very good.
Sadly, 3 months later, Alan died after a short illness. Cambridge toasted a light blue double as they won 2 boat races, both their guys and their gals. And on dry land, they saluted a capital treble by Dionisio Cerrón, the Mexican's 3rd straight London Marathon win. And Liz McColgan's first. Sharon Rendell was head over heels about her judo gold at the European Championships. Danny Kingston felt the same about his. Mark Todd and Bertie Blunt made a winning Kiwi combination at badminton. Gymnast supreme was Lilia Podkopayeva, tumbling to all of the sport's major titles. After 2 years away, Diane Modal was back on track, chasing Kelly Holmes at the 3As. But June was really all about football and tennis, and sometimes both.
That doesn't happen too often on the centre court, that the visitors are the focus of attention.
A visitor to Donington was Aussie Michael Doohan. He made himself right at home en route to a third world title. And still on two wheels, the doyen of the Tour de France, not in Geraint, but Bjarne Riis of Denmark. Frank Biela did all of his touring in his motor. The German took the British touring car title. Sightseeing under his own steam, Britain's Simon Lessing, 4 times world triathlon champion. Ivan Lawler's another 4-time world beater, this time in canoe marathon with Stephen Harris. And Chris Boardman set 2 world records in 2 days while pursuing 4,000 metres glory at the Worlds. Mary King shook off the post-Olympic blues, riding high at Burley and Gatcombe and reining in the top prizes. Boardman was just a touch saddle sore himself, this time after setting the world 1-hour record. And just as in London, the new queen of the sprint finished, Liz McColgan did it again.
Charging, realises she can get there. And McColgan coming through to win the Great North Run.
Autumn, and Mark Tout found himself out in the cold. Britain's best-known bobsledder banned for life for drug abuse. More positively, in the British Superbikes, Neil Mackenzie pipped Jamie Whittam for the title, but Whittam won his battle against cancer. Boardman in the headlines again, just missed out in the World Road Race. Chicago is Paul Evans' kind of town, a British marathon double along with Marion Sutton. And England's netballers lost their test series against Jamaica, simply bowled over by Patricia Cricket McDonald. Colin McRae walked away as runner-up in the World Rally Championship after a valiant title defence. And the best of the rest in December is, well, that would be telling, wouldn't it?
So that's how everything was won and lost in the past 12 months. We usually round it all off with a few insights now into how BBC Sport performed. Well, I think by and large we got the technology right and the words right. It's image that we're working on now.
We're in this together.
I love my moustache. Rude, are you enjoying being a pundit?
Yes, you know, this is something when I was at Milan, for example, that although I didn't especially do much of, you know, but I have learned a lot from Alan here.
Oh, thanks a
but
lot.
I do think maybe that he could learn from me, because he has to do something with his image, you know? Maybe his hair, or perhaps could go a moustache or something, a bit like yours does, you know? This would help him, I think, especially also.
So do that thing for us with your tongue, will you?
You'll have to, right?
Well, you've got a reputation for being an entertainer, so entertain us. Go on, thing with your tongue. Thanks a lot. Don't worry, we won't use it.
I hope not, right? You know, they say that Alan has just one suit, you know? One suit, that's all. And I think
I just can't believe I'm getting this sort of stick here, you know, from Rude. Okay, we all know he's a fashion god, you know, but you got to ask yourself, what's more important, fashion or football? And I know what I choose every time. Well, you know, football for me.
Well, there we are then. That was the German goal there from our regular cameras. But as I'm sure you know this show, we've also inserted a camera into Paul Gascoigne's head, and this is how he saw it.
Quick, lads, it's Ruby Wax! But you would look brighter in a sort of short-sleeved shirt, and then people would listen more to what you say.
Yes.
Perhaps also, especially.
Perhaps.
I'll tell you, if you want to ponce around on the King's Road with your Italian chums, you can do it, mate. That's for me, a suit.
So, Alan, it's a lovely morning, but you're not happy. Why is that?
Well, I've woken up this morning, Ray, and as you can see from the hotel behind me, turns out that Paul Gascoigne's put a huge, great tree right outside my bedroom window, and I can't see anything out of it. It's very dark, and I'm just not very happy about it, really, you know. Not sure.
So I went through with an axe. Yeah, he had an axe, and he cut the tree down, Paul. Yeah, I cut the tree down, and he stuck it outside Shearer's window. Outside Shearer's window. Yeah, you go and see it if you like. Funny, makes you laugh. Well, hey.
Strange news for you this morning, Terry.
Yeah, I heard that Gazza had put a tree outside Shearer's window, but he wouldn't do it.
Pranks he gets up to,
I just think you should do something because you're a good-looking man. You are a good-looking man. You know, and you should
okay,
try.
well, if I'm a good-looking
man,
why do I need to bother then, eh? Yeah, now, come on, fellas. Now, people haven't tuned in to hear you two talking about fashion, have they? Arguing in this manner. You know, I don't think it befits you, and we should be talking about football, really.
That's it, exactly. You're going to get this sort of treatment with Alan and Gary and Trevor Brooke, and, you know, I've never had this sort of stick off them, you know, I mean, they're...
Button it, Alan.
Rude
Come on,
start.
button it, please.
Rude
Stop
did.
it, the two of you. Stop it.
Rude start.
Stop.
There's Al. Good job, you wore the dark suit tonight, Alan. And here's Alistair McGowan, who did it all. Well done, Alistair. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, we're close now to the moment when we announce the voters' choice for BBC Sports Personality for 1996. But before the result, a reminder of the leading contenders. And now to announce the top three in your voting for this year's Sports Personality. Last year's winner, Jonathan Edwards.
Third first. Second first.
Yeah. Thank you. In 1995, a smile really was never too far from my face. It's been a bit more forced this year, but I had this trophy looking down on me from my mantelpiece, and that always cheered me up. I can remember in January, this big wooden box arrived. I thought, what on earth is that? Because I didn't know if I was actually going to get this. And I sort of opened it up, and there was a bit of old carpet on the top. No expense spared with the BBC. Some polystyrene, and I sat looking at this, and it was quite incredible. It's going to be a very special night for whoever is #1 in these envelopes. So it's my privilege now to announce to you the results of the viewers' poll for Sports Review of the Year. Yeah, I know. In third place, the BBC viewers voted for a man whose enthusiasm and sheer brilliance has delighted racing fans worldwide and produced that historic 7-timer at Ascot. Ladies and gentlemen, Frankie Dettori. And in second place, a man who became the first British competitor ever to win gold medals at 4 successive Olympics, a record matched by just 4 others in the history of the Games, Stephen Redgrave. And in first place, the viewer's choice for the BBC Sports Personality of the Year is a man who fulfilled his dream of becoming the Formula 1 champion of the world, just like his dad. Twice a runner-up, this year he made it to the top. Ladies and gentlemen, Damon Hill.
Well, I'm certainly not going to apologise for getting everyone out of bed this time. I'm enormously proud to receive this award. To stand here amongst the cream of our country's sportsmen is a very humbling experience, and I feel, as I said, immensely proud to be here and to receive the award. I think a lot of credit has to go to the BBC Grand Prix team for covering the sport so incredibly well over the last 20 years and this season as well, especially. And of course, the incredible Murray Walker himself, who adds that something else to the coverage. But of course, it is the viewers that vote for this, and I'd really like to thank them and everyone who voted for me. Big thank you, and it really has made my year for me, and I'm extremely thankful and proud. Thank you very much indeed.
The BBC television sports personality for 1996 is Damon Hill.